Let's talk football.
Oh, they done it! I cannot believe it!
No, seriously, let's talk football. Welcome back to a brand new series of Off the Cuff. We are back in business, and so is Real Madrid president Florentino Perez, who recently realised the brainchild of his dreams since 2009 by launching a brand new football tournament for Europe's biggest teams. Now, what's so special about this European Super League, I hear you ask? Well, first things first, it has absolutely nothing to do with money. Nothing. No siree. No, nothing to do with money. You see, the prize money set to be distributed across the founding members is a mere 10 billion euro. Now, if that's not enough, Barcelona and Real Madrid, well, they're set to earn 60 million euro each. I guess just for turning up. I mean, look, Messi, he's near to retirement. Eden Hazard's been a complete flop. You have to feel sorry for them. Now, in addition to that, there's another 3.5 billion euro going to every single founding member of this Super League to help fix and alleviate the financial ruin caused by the COVID pandemic. Because, of course, in light of the fact that India is currently gripped by a horrendous second wave, and in light of the fact that the global economy is in ruins and unemployment levels are rising uncontrollably, and in light of the fact that key workers have worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 14 months, no, more important than that, we have to make sure that 22 grown men can kick a sphere across a field.
No, he's got a point.
I mean, what on earth will all those poor dears do with just 5 supercars, 4 yachts, and 3 holiday homes, instead of 1 less of each? If you got distracted by all that talk of numbers and figures and finances, you're missing the point, says Florentino Perez. You see, the entire purpose of this European Super League is, and I quote, "not a competition for the rich. It's a competition of solidarity to save football by the great and the modest." He's such an idiot. That's right, Florentino. That's right. We all know what you're really thinking.
Show me the money!
And if that wasn't enough, well, it wasn't. Let's take a look for a second at the 12 founding members of the European Super League. Now, some of those members are self-explanatory, okay? You can't have a global competition without Real Madrid and Barcelona, Manchester United, Man City and Chelsea, recent history but big, Liverpool, massive clubs. But as you work your way down the list, the members who were invited get slightly more peculiar and out of place when describing Europe's best football teams. This is going to hurt, but we got to do it for the team. For a start, you have the likes of Tottenham Hotspur. Here's recent footage of their trophy cabinet. And then you have Arsenal. Here's some footage of their recent successful exploits in the Europa League. Meme.
Good evening.
Now, as you can imagine, these plans didn't go down too well in the footballing world. In fact, they were met with fury unseen since Frank Lampard's disallowed goal against Germany. Until, within just 48 hours of Perez realising his life's work and dream, all 6 Premier League members had pulled out and scrapped the plans. Inter Milan went, AC Milan went, Atletico Madrid went, until finally all you had left was Real Madrid, Barcelona and Juventus, left alone to sit on the naughty step and think about what they'd done.
The negotiations were short.
Now I know what you're thinking, that's old news, and I just wanted an excuse to talk about football and bring out a load of memes that I haven't been able to use yet on previous episodes of Off the Cuff. But there is a point, and we're going to get to it. Now, one of the most pressing questions in the wake of this whole global mess was how on earth did the collective intelligence, now let's be real for a second, of some of the most successful business people on earth. How did their judgment and reading of this situation go so badly wrong? Weren't they anticipating the anger, the fury, the rage of players, managers, and most importantly, fans across the globe? Boris Johnson was so unsettled by this news that he even donned a high-vis vest and a builder's hat to deliver this statement.
I don't think it's good news for football in this country. I don't like the look of these proposals.
This in turn raised another question. You see, as we've said, the plans or the idea for a European Super League have been in the pipeline for well over a decade, since 2009. So why launch it now? The simplest and most obvious answer to this is exactly what Florentino Perez himself said. The COVID pandemic has wrecked the global economy. It has strip-mined hundreds of millions in revenue. This European Super League represented the simplest, quickest, and easiest way for these clubs to restore some sort of financial health and strength to their balance sheets. So on paper and on calculator, the plans made total sense. Now again, these are some of the most successful business people, entrepreneurs, and leaders in human history. It would be foolish to the extreme of us to assume they didn't see any of this coming. So what was it that they were anticipating? Well, I think on a simple level, and certainly within the Premier League group of 6, there was an assumption that yes, this will meet with tremendous resistance by representatives and fans of other clubs, them, but us, our fans, our team, our people, surely they'll get behind this. They were wrong. And don't call me Shirley. Yes! Da, 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 da. You see, if the fans of those teams, the founding members, if they'd actually got behind the plans, there is no way that FIFA, UEFA, other teams, Boris Johnson, or any government for that matter, could put a stop to the avalanche of support. That is why Perez was so confident, and that was why he wasn't and still isn't afraid of any sort of sanction from FIFA or UEFA. At its core, football, and any team sport for that matter, is about us versus them. In its most basic form, it's about tribalism. By building an identity of loyalty to a certain team or a certain club, we are in essence from a very young age adding a weapon to our arsenal of how to navigate and interpret the world around us, how to compartmentalize the social circles we mix in and the hobbies we have. However, as is most common, the reasons and origins of this tribalism tend to be completely random and arbitrary. My family, for example, my great-grandfather moved over here from Poland, and he happened to go with a bunch of his friends to a team that many Jewish people from the East End went to, Tottenham Hotspur. And thanks to his decision, I continue to suffer.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And so you see, with the passage of time and as one generation leads to the next, we actually completely forget that the origins of this loyalty, this tribalism, this figuring things out in us versus them, came from those random arbitrary reasons. And those reasons instead start to take on a complete identity and importance of their own, until we eventually arrive at a situation where we are literally living and processing the world through the eyes of us and them. My team, your team, their team, love, hate, support, don't. So what was the grave miscalculation from some of the greatest minds in the industry? You see, it should come as no surprise that someone as successful and powerful as a Florentino Perez or a Stan Kroenke or a Joe Louis, they didn't make their billions by seeing the world in terms of us. They saw it very firmly, us and them. Profit, loss, gain, lack of. That's how they achieve success. And so they entered this situation and this plan, framing everything in exactly the same way. By playing us off of them, we can disregard them and our fans who see themselves together with us. They'll drive this forward. Problem is, it probably would have been more sensible to go ahead and just launch this Super League back in 2009 or whenever he first thought about it. Because since then, we've gone through a global pandemic. And that pandemic, more than anything in recent history, has shown us that even though it's useful and sometimes necessary to process and compartmentalize the world around us, in tribal terms, me and us versus you and them, the pandemic showed a paradigm shift. Seeing the world in terms of us is much, much stronger and much more relevant than seeing it in terms of them. So at the end of the day, no matter who you support, what matters is that we realize and start processing life through the real eyes of the beautiful game that belongs to us. Cut to show me the money!
Do you want to end with a joke? A football joke?
Okay. Arsenal. Why do the rabbis have so much power? Is Judaism just an endless friction between religious and secular groups? And does Judaism believe in a division between church and state?